Dr. Beni Lar of Science and Technology, Minister of State, Alhaji Mohammed Abdullahi, FAMSEC, DGs. May I welcome you once more to this year's Budget Defense in the National Assembly. I'm delighted to have you here before this honorable committee, not just for the purpose of budget defense, but also to exchange views on how to move this sector forward in Nigeria. Science, technology, and innovation has contributed immensely to our economic growth. However, much more needs to be done. May I use this opportunity to commend the Minister and your agencies for having done well in the last 4 years and in the 8th Assembly when I worked with you. I also want to say that we are like a family who work together to achieve a common goal, which is to maximize the options available for the development of science, technology, and innovation. We're all aware that science and technology is the hub on which the development of any economy revolves. Development at any phase, be it economic, industrial, agricultural, manufacturing, construction, and even in space science, are always and have always been linked to technology. There's no sector of human endeavor that can progress or be said to develop without science and technology. Countries of the world are classified into developed, developing, and underdeveloped. And most countries that are regarded as third world countries are those that those that fall within developing and undeveloped. This is because they have not fully applied the benefits of science and technology in their countries. For any country to pull itself out of being a developing or undeveloped country, such a country must pay attention not just to the Ministry of Science and Technology, but to ensure that the basic requisites of the economy are founded on local indigenous growth of the technology available in that country. Nigeria is seeking to achieve this goal by 2020. It is also noteworthy that a nation which is not able to prosper on these grounds will have it difficult, and the citizens may not be able to sustain a decent standard of living, and may solely have to depend on other nations for their basic needs and requirements. We need not depend on other nations for our technology. Nigeria has all it takes to develop its own homegrown indigenous technology. Countries that have developed and have developed faster than Nigeria, although we were at the same path technologically some decades back, are South Korea, Taiwan, Brazil, Thailand, Indonesia, India, and other countries. It is estimated by the World Bank that 7 out of the 10 largest economies of the world by 2020 will be in Asia. It is also worthy of note that a few decades ago, these countries were known to be highly undeveloped, but with the induction and intensified efforts in science and technology in an effective manner, they've made ripples across the globe. It is against this backdrop that the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology was established and saddled with a mandate to, among others, 1, formulate, monitor, and review the national policy on science, technology, and innovation to attain the macroeconomic and social objectives of Vision 2020 as it relates to science and technology. It was also set up for the acquisition and application of science, technology, and innovation contribution to livestock and so on productivity. It was also Number 3, increasing energy reliance through sustainable research and development in nuclear, renewable, and alternative energy sources for peaceful and development purposes. Also set up for the promotion of wealth creation through support to key industrial and manufacturing sectors, such as what some of the agencies are currently doing. It was also set up for the creation of technology infrastructure and knowledge base to facilitate its wide application for development. It was also set up for natural medicine, resources, and technology for development in the health sector. Also for the acquisition and application of space science and technology as a key driver of economic development. Ensuring also the impact of research and development results in the Nigerian economy through the promotion of indigenous research capacity to facilitate technology transfer. It is instructive to note here that a ministry charged with such enormous responsibilities will not go without challenges. Such challenges may include, but not limited to, capital, that is meager budgetary allocation, poor releases, which evidently affect implementation of its science innovations. This is why our being here today is in line with our constitutional role to review how the previous budget has been expended and to work together to achieve the ministry's mandate in the 2020 budget. I also want to note that the House has oversight, legislative oversight, on this ministry and all its agencies, and we have a role to appropriate your budget and ensure that it is implemented in accordance with the law. On this note, I want to welcome you all. We have guidelines that we have set out for you and all the agencies. Number one is the expenditure warrant for personnel, overhead and capital, and the total amount cash back for the subheads and period. Number two is the percentage implementation of all projects starting from, we'll limit it to 2019. Number three is the internal revenue generated by the ministry. Number four, ongoing projects and the level of implementation. The personnel emolument payroll, your nominal role, and the 2020 budget estimates and justification for your agencies. On this note, I want to thank you and welcome you all.
I would like to start by first congratulating the honorable members for your election into the 9th House of Representatives of our great nation, and also your appointment into this very important committee as chairman, deputy chairman, and members. Over the past 4 years, we have worked very hard and worked so closely with this committee, and we would like to use this opportunity to especially commend the chairman or chairperson for her reappointment as chairperson of this committee. We would like this tradition that we started in the past 4 years to continue, because we believe that when the executive and the legislature work together for the common good of our nation, that our great nation will benefit. Also developed another policy, again on national strategy for competitiveness in raw materials and product development in the country. This very unique policy was to help us to reduce imports into the country, because we believe that we can add value to the numerous and abundant raw materials that we have in the country, and use those raw materials both in our industry, in our factories, and all the other places that we do production, as against importation, which normally puts so much pressure, a lot of pressure on our foreign exchange earnings, and also has adversely affected the value of the naira. But beyond that, we all know that the more we rely on our own raw materials, the better for us in terms of creating wealth, creating jobs, and fighting poverty. Put in place the revolutionary executive order number 5, which has the primary aim of putting the Nigerian professional at the center of all economic activities in the country. Then finally, we developed the leather and leather products policy for the nation. So these 5 policies, we've been working on them to see how we can help to move Nigeria from our economy depending entirely on commodities or resources to now depend on knowledge that is innovation driven. This is something that should have happened at independence, but we said it doesn't matter. If it didn't happen then, it has to happen now or sometime. And luckily, it's during our own time that we have been working on this, and you have also worked very hard with us. And this is a product of the Federal Executive Council, where all members of the council have made contributions. I also want to mention that the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan 2017 to 2020 recognizes, for the first time in the history of development planning in our country, recognizes science, technology, and innovation as being at the center of economic activities in the country. So we have used all these policies to drive this transition of our economy. Yes, the impact, we are making tremendous impact, and we have seen the achievements, the results. We can mention some of them to you. Measurable results showing that we're on the right path. But normally, when you start things of this nature, they go slowly initially until they gather momentum and then move at a faster speed. We all remember that just last year, December, China celebrated 40 years of reforms. And we know what the past 40 years look like in China. They have moved from a nation that has serious problems, serious challenges, to now have the second largest economy. And in the last 25 to 30 years, China was able to move 700 million of her citizens out of poverty. So this is a very remarkable thing, and the 700 million is half their population. So we can see where we are taking the science, Ministry of Science, we are leading this change. We are leading it for our nation and where we want Nigeria to be in 30, 40, 50 years. This journey is not something that can be accomplished in a very short period. We must be patient, we must be determined, we must be committed, we must work with all passion and determination to ensure that this happens. This is what Japan did, that's what China is doing, that's what India is also doing. Now coming to 2020 budget proposal, we have for total allocation of 39 billion 554 million 2,948 naira. For overhead, we have 3 billion 235 million 911,410 naira. For capital, we have 37 billion 553 million 386,402, and this includes a lot of constituency projects. That's how this was able to get up to this figure. Then the grand total is 80 billion 343 million 300,760 naira. For 2020, we want to pay attention in a number of areas. If you look at the proposal that we have in the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology, almost all the projects are ongoing because we somehow moved most of the projects meant for 2019, even those that were started before we came in, to continue, because we believe that it's important we complete the projects as against bringing new ones. There are very few new projects that we are proposing, but these projects will help us in a number of areas. We are working very hard to make sure that we support this administration's policy on food security, because we believe that we need, as a nation, to be able to feed ourselves. And it is very important to us. We also want to support agriculture as a source of raw materials for our industry. I can give you an example. We had a situation where Nigeria used to be a major producer of cotton in the world. But because of a particular pest, the bollworm, farmers, because this bollworm attacks cotton farms, and we are working in the area of energy, in renewable energy. We are making sure that our smaller rivers will be able to generate energy, electricity, from them, because we dam the bigger rivers, but the smaller rivers can be very helpful in our rural areas to help us produce electricity. We also, God has put us in a location where we are very close to the equator. And if countries in Europe can be talking about solar energy, we should be the people to champion it. And so the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology is determined, if given the resources, we have the capacity, the ability to make sure that Nigeria benefits tremendously from renewable energy in the area of solar, wind, and so on. Also, we are introducing methanol. Methanol is an alcohol, it's a solvent that used to be a feedstock for manufacturing, for industrialization purposes. But through research, methanol now in so many countries, in America, United States of America, in China, in India, in Italy, in Israel, and many other countries, is now helping them in the transportation sector, whereby you blend this methanol with petrol, and it's cheaper, and it has higher octane rating. What it means by that is that if you use it in your car will even perform better. Then you can use it for cooking, because if you use kerosene, you notice the soot that kerosene will leave on your pot. It will affect your eyes, the environment. Methanol will not do any of that. So it's a cleaner, a safer, solvent that you can use for energy in the homes, for our women, for our transportation, for generating electricity, and then replacing diesel completely. This has happened in a number of countries. When you see all these big vehicles or run with diesel, you notice what comes out of the combustion products and so on. Methanol is very neat, it's very clean, it will not have any of that, and it's cheaper than both petrol and the diesel. So we are working very hard. One of our agencies started research on methanol in 2012. So we are working hard to see how we can bring this technology to help our country in the number of ways that we have mentioned, for energy and so on. Also for environment, we are working very hard, to ensure that we live a more secure nation, for our people. And in the area of space, because most people don't appreciate the contributions of space technology. Space technology is at the very top, and if you master it, you develop and acquire technologies that you can use, for other areas, particularly. So there are very, very good, encouraging signs, that we are doing very well in this area, because it is only when you take these ideas from the laboratory and move it to the marketplace, that is when you can now be in a position to create the wealth and also jobs. So we are going